we all paint. And what happens? Why do we stop? I think we can all paint. It's all still inside us. I think, I know I think it's something very, like a primitive part of us, or something that we want to create and make marks. And like, cave people did it. It's something very basic inside of us, and it feels great. And I think the last time people had fun, and it's not about perfectionism. It's not about trying to reproduce a perfect portrait or painting within the lines. This is actually about your own intuition and your own creativity. So what I'd like you to do is pick maybe just 3 or 4 colours, 4 colours tops, colours that you like, and you know what the right colours for you are, because you might be painting and then you think, I'll say pick another colour, and you might think yellow pops into my head, or red or blue. Whatever that colour is for you, that's the right colour for you. So you just got to listen to that internal creative voice, and you might feel like, I feel like doing a little gentle drip, or I feel like doing a big splash. And again, just listen to that internal voice. That's kind of like your creativity, your inner soul or something, and that person inside you knows what to do, and you've just got to go with that. I think that's what I've learned. That's what works for me. And when I paint, I feel like myself in the way I don't anything else in my life. I'm not a mother, I'm not a daughter, I'm not a friend, I'm not a wife. I'm just me. I'm just Aideen. And somebody else, another artist, was saying to me that I shouldn't be sharing all my secrets. But I think I'd love everyone to paint. I'd love more people to paint. The more people that experience that joy of moving wet paint, the better. And I think certainly at this time when there's so much anxiety and stress, let's turn off the radio, put on some music and sing or dance or paint or do something creative, and it just feels really good. And it's something we all do as children, and then we completely lose that. I don't know why, but I think it's all still inside us, and maybe it's about permission, but I'm giving you permission right now to paint. So I'm just going to show you what I have, and then I hope you're all doing something. It's very strange not being able to see what you're doing. So I'll just turn this around. Okay, so what I've done this time, I'm more organized. I put a bit of masking tape on the edge of a page. Completely not necessary. The last time I did loads of them, I had no masking tape. I just thought I'd show you something different. And I've got some ink, these ink blocks. I've got these Caran d'Ache, which are like kind of crayons. I've got XL graphite, and then I've got the same paints I did from the last session. So if you're new, what I do is I take a jam jar, I put in a blob of paint, and then I add some normal water and I give it a little stir. I tend to use disposable cutlery to stir it and to mix it, and I tend to use those also to flick the paint, and I don't tend to use brushes. I think when you use brushes, it makes us more like we're trying to be creative or too perfect, and we're getting really small and perfect, and it's not about that. It's about being freer. The other tip sometimes people do is they use their non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, use your left hand, and just try and see if that works. So just going to show you the colours I have. I've got a yellow, I've got an orange, I've got a green, a magenta, and another green. And these are the same paints I had. I just, at the end of the session, I forgot to say it the last time, no brushes. Yes, I'm going to start a movement, no brushes. So hopefully you're all putting a little bit of paint in jam jars with a little bit of water. If you don't have jam jars, that's fine. Just, you could put the paint directly on your paper and move it around with whatever you have, a brush, anything, a toothbrush. You can use your hands if you want to. Credit cards are good. If you do want to use a brush, this is great. This is actually a DIY wallpaper spreader. And it's really good because it's really, really big. And I used that recently in some of the time-lapse videos. I use that when I'm applying thick paint. These are some of the tools, got foam brushes, and these are my paints. I've got some more canvases that I started. I work in layers. Oh, and these are some, if you've inks would be great too. These are some liquid paint. Recycled spoons, perfect. Yeah, I think they're great, aren't they? So let's start. Any questions before I, are you okay? Okay, so and there's Doris is in the corner still sleeping. Okay, I'm just gonna turn this around and stick it in, and hopefully I have it at the right angle. And hopefully I won't turn this off. Okay, bear with me. How's the angle? I can see the page. Maybe I'm going to go up a little bit so that you can see more of the tool as well. I should really have done this beforehand. Because I want you to be able to see the, not just the paper. Okay, I think that's better, isn't it? Does that look good to you guys? Okay, so let's start. I've injured my hand from, so hopefully you're all painting with me. I'm not on my own. And at the end, I would love to see if you want to send me what you did. So I've got a big jug of water as well. Okay, I'm just going to move this here. Okay, so hopefully you can see some of what I'm doing. So the colors I tend to use are the colors I see around me. At the moment, all the colours are very autumnal. I really notice even though my work is very colourful, I actually have quite a small palette. I don't use a lot of colours. And I've been really enjoying painting with paper since I painted with you guys. I usually use canvas, but there's something lovely about working with paper. This is actually, people ask me what kind of paper. This is something I found. So basically any kind of paper will do. You just don't want it too, you want it thick enough to hold the water. So 250 minimum, or even 300. And I like a nice big size. An acrylic pad is what I used the last time. I've asked, some people were asking or interested in playing with these kind of things. I've asked Cork Art Supplies are going to put together a list, and they're going to send me a link, and then if anyone, they deliver anywhere in Ireland. So if any of you are interested in getting some of these things to have a little play when we're in lockdown. Okay, putting on my gloves because I'm so messy and I want to protect this finger I injured when I was packaging paintings and prints recently. So I'm going to start, this time I'm really enjoying playing with these things here. So I'm just going to start with some of these, and what I do is I just take it and but you can work away, if you've got paint, you work with whatever you have and you just reach for whatever colour. I'm just going to start with red, and I'm just making intuitive marks. I'm just seeing what happens. I'm not really thinking too much, and then when I like something I go further with it. Because I work in layers, it's nice just to put something down and respond to it. So I'm going to go for a magenta. Oh, I like that. And often it is for me, it's when I do something, it's about when I reach a moment that I feel, oh, I like this. That's when I know it's working for me. If you do have masking tape, like me, go right over the edges. Don't be careful because it'll leave it. And now I think I'm going to go with some green graphite stick, which I just wetted. The graphite stick is much rougher, and it's not as intense. Now I'm not blending too much because it'll just go, when you blend too much different colours, every colour, if you remember from maybe painting in primary school, if you mix too many colours, everything turns to orange. Or sorry, not orange, brown. I think orange because I was thinking of that. Oh, I like that. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of going to go in with a little bit of paint. This is some green. Yellow. What am I saying? So I like having a different variety of different marks. You know, splatters, big movements, small movements, and it creates an energy. And I'm just looking at what's there and what I like. I'm going further with it. At the moment, I like this blurring here. And I tend to work with what's already there. So there's green up here. I'm going to add more green. So if you've already pre-mixed your paint from the last session, just give it a little stir. Oh yes. When I normally paint, I don't sit down, I stand. And when you stand, you're further away and you get different marks to when you're really, really close. Oh yes. Actually, I love the bit that's up in the masking tape even the best, that we've lost that, so I'm going to go down further. A little bit of blue here. I usually work on multiple pieces, go from one to the other, because when you're working this wet with colours, I don't want to do too much. Oh, I forgot to say earlier on, my trusty old, I don't know, kitchen spray filled with water. Oh yes, that's so nice. So I almost had to ask my children permission to have the bandwidth to negotiate the time. At the moment, everyone, now that's going to go blue and green, that's going to go blue and yellow, that's going to turn green. If there's something you don't like, you just take a little bit of kitchen paper and you can just mop it up. But I usually just let things happen the way they want to happen. And then I just vary between different marks, small marks, big marks. Working in the wet areas and then also the dry areas. I like that. Now I'm actually using the Caran d'Ache to draw out, to kind of almost drag out the colours. Oh, it's lovely where it's blended with the yellow and gone greeny. Actually, it's... And just if you find something you like, you just do more of it. It's really like, almost like play. Now for me, that's all very much feeling like roots, branches, all the kind of undergrowth. I love the layers. I love the blue over the pink marks and how that's kind of purpley. And when you're painting, just keep reaching for different things, and you know, you're not copying me, you're doing your own painting because it's what you feel and the colours you have, and you just go for what feels, what when you feel like doing next. So it's almost like your inner creative sense. You feel like I feel like yellow, I feel like green. Sometimes I always think like I'm having a conversation with the painting and I'm asking the painting, what does it want next? And sometimes the painting will tell you. So ask your painting, what do you want? And it might just say, whatever comes into your head, that's the painting talking to you. That's the painting telling you what it wants. So my painting is saying it wants more green up here. And maybe it's all gone a bit too many lines now, so I feel like I need to do something different. So I'm going to add a bit of my... Oh, and if you have these ink sticks, don't do like me and leave them lying in pools of water, because they actually dissolve. But you know, I got these years ago. I think I have these. Oh, they last for ages. So I'm delighted that so many of you have joined me, and I'm less nervous. I was very nervous the first time because it's quite difficult to paint and talk. Oh, I love that. Love that. Maybe not the way that's going there. Love that. I think I want a bit more of that. Maybe going down into the yellow section. Painting is actually like making loads of decisions. Constantly making decisions. Like what next? What color next? What mark am I going to do next? When I paint, I'm actually, when I finish painting, I'm actually usually exhausted. I feel like I should go into a submarine decompression chamber to decompress. Now this is actually so wet, I kind of need to stop. Now I didn't really think about this. Now that it's taped up, what am I going to do? How am I going to move it? Okay, I'm going to have to do my best. It's quite nice now, it's a pity to move it, but just going to mop up some of this excess here. I love the way it's bleeding over the previous marks, and you can see all these marks underneath. I'm just soaking up some of this excess because it's going to drip. And actually now I'm using it, I'm applying it. So I'm using the tissue like a brush to apply. Okay, I'm just mopping up this excess. Now if I was on my own, I would just leave this and I'd move on to something else. Okay, just going to try and move it without it. You can see this area here is going to drip. I don't want to blend in too much because I like what's there. So I'm just soaking now. If you're working yourself, you just keep going. Hopefully you've got a few different pages or even a canvas. Okay. Right, I'm just going to slide this guy off here. Ooh. Hopefully Doris won't want to walk. She may actually want to walk. Okay, that's done. Right. Let's get another one on. Actually, I might work on this canvas just for a change. This is the one I worked on before. I love the feathery blue. So also some of you, what you could do if you did the previous session is you could add more layers. I'm just wetting this to kind of activate the canvas. I'm going to go what's different there now. I'm going to add a little bit of, actually I'm going to add magenta. I'm going to work with what's there. I'm going to add more magenta. Beautiful. I just love watching wet paint move. So I'm using the water spray like a brush to direct where the painting, where I want it to go. It moves where I lead it to. But it creates these organic shapes. Like you couldn't make a shape like this. Look at that. You couldn't make a shape like this with your brush. Look at that. Those shapes there are just incredible. Amazing just from a few drops of paint. Now it will fade, it will not be as intense as this when it dries. But what I love is you can see the layers underneath, you can see the blues underneath. So this is how I normally do, I work in layers. Some of my paintings will have hundreds of layers. And that's going to fall off the side here now. Any second, I'm just going to put this down here. Ooh! Actually, I've encouraged it off the side. That's how I get those lovely drips on the edges. Sometimes often would have these up high and I'd have little containers catching the paint underneath. And then I would pour what spills onto something else. I'm feeling a little bit of green now. Oh, that's nice. There's something about not trying too hard, the effortlessness of a movement that creates beautiful energy. I love that the green going down into that pink is very pleasing to me. And I think I need a little bit more yellow. Oh yes, those yellow dots in the magenta area. So I was really impressed with the work you produced the last time. There's some very talented people out there. I'm hoping to see lots of lovely paintings this time too. I was describing this, somebody was asking me, a friend was asking me, who's not on Instagram, what it was like. And I said it was like a surreal cookery show, but without seeing an audience, kind of talking away to myself. And I remember thinking I was the only one there, you'd all gone, and I was just chatting away to myself. But I was really so delighted that so many of you paint it, and there are more of you this time. So thank you very much. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I think I'll do more of that water. A bit more yellow. It's almost like sunlight on leaves. It's amazing, the whole painting is flowing this way. I find that paintings, they just tend to go in one direction. I'm very messy as well. Extremely messy. That's why I wear overalls. I don't know how to paint. I mean, I see people with studios and they're wearing regular clothes. I don't know how they do it. I can't. So I'm going to move this guy over. Again, if I was painting myself, I would just leave this sit and then move to something else. I don't want to do too much more because I like what's there and it needs to dry before I can do more layers. Maybe just more of the magenta. I just love watching paint move. Now, where am I going to get this guy? Where am I going to move it to? Reading. Okay, I'm just trying to think of the dog. I don't want the dog walking in wet paint, which has happened when the dogs come up here. Sometimes they have little pink tails and stuff. And poor Darius is very attached to me because she's a rescue, and she's listening to me talk right now. You know, she was in a really bad way when we got her, and she's an old lady, so I think she's just panics when I'm not there. Excuse me there, I'm just moving this. Okay, now what am I going to do next? I think I'm going to work on this one. This is another, I just cleaned the table a little bit. Oh, I hope those of you working from home have put down plenty of newspaper. I don't want to be responsible for ruining your beautiful homes, and I hope you're wearing clothes, protective clothes. Now I'm going to use this. I use these old, I'm recycling everything for painting. This might just help me move it, maybe. And also it's nice to keep it directly off the, hopefully you can see this. You can see most of it. I think I'm going to use some of the, rather than just going in with the paint, I'm going to experiment with using some of the ink pens. I think this is beautiful. I love this one, the way I've left this for months. I just love the way there's a lightness. It's actually harder now because I've got something I don't want to ruin. I'm not in the right. It's too careful. It doesn't work when you're being careful. I think when I'm trying to be careful and neat, the painting kind of loses its energy or something. And I don't know, so like I think paintings have emotion. I'm going to use a knife. Oh, that's much better. Those movements are much better now because it's not trying as hard. And the shapes are organic, like raindrops or no wind. And maybe more blue. So sometimes I wet the canvas first. You can do the same with paper, as long as you've got nice. And I'm going to use a drop. Oh yes. That's so beautiful. I'm going to do that here, bigger space. Because I've already put the blue here and I don't like those little marks I made. The higher up you drop, the better. Oh yes, now that's working. It's all traveling out. I actually spend a lot of time looking at what I'm doing on deciding and thinking. I love making those time lapses. I wish I painted that fast. Someone said to me, it must be very relaxing to sit down and paint. And I was like, no, it's actually not relaxing. It can be quite exhausting because of all the decisions being made. I'm going to put a bit more. Now I'm trying to decide where I go magenta, or maybe I'll put this blue overlapping it again. There's something very beautiful about the blue over. Yeah, try this. I think that really worked very well is having this color dropping on top of the marks I made. So the graphite is nice. It leaves nice little grainy marks. So it'll be interesting. My next collection now, you might see some of these. You might recognize some early layers and you go, I was there for that. I know what she was thinking. I know when it went wrong. Now I really like this. I've never used the graphite in this way before, and I love the way it's sort of transparent and you can see the layers underneath. I think when you work in lots of layers, painting is very rich. But I'm trying to make shapes that are still organic. like a leaf or something. So I'm going to try this again and see if this works, adding the... And I will just let that radiate out. And I think maybe a little bit of yellow now. It's all very cool. It needs some other colours. And then of course the yellow will blend. I'm thinking it needs something up in this area here. Oh yeah. Oh, sprays there. Now Doris won't walk through there. I'll have to kind of guide her out very carefully. It is fantastic though, since I've had a studio space that I can leave work out. Before I was painting in a corner of I started off in the living room. And to be honest, when I paint, I actually don't care. I don't care if I make a mess because it just feels so important. And I put down old sheets and stuff, but you know, I didn't make a mess. And we're still finding little splatters. But at the time it just feels, and then I started taking over the dining room. I covered over our dining table with cardboard. You might have seen the dining room from some of the recent live. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. Oh, that is lovely. It's like a peacock colour, isn't it? I covered the table with cardboard and then I had all these paintings on it. And then this little room became free and my son asked could he move up into it. And I remember thinking, if I was a really good mother, I'd let him do it, but I want the space. So I said no, and I took it, and it is just great to have a space that I can be messy and leave my work out, and have more work, even though it's bursting at the seams. I could do it, but you know, I must say, can't complain. It was so great to have it when we were in lockdown, to have a space upstairs. Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. That's really good. Hopefully you're seeing all this. I think you're seeing most of it anyway. And I think I'm going to go a bit of magenta up here because that will be go purpley. So I'm making decisions. I'm thinking about, you know, how colours blend and how they move. And what you want in a painting is you want to have lots of contrast. Light areas, dark areas, big movement, big marks, small marks. You know, you want to have space for your eye to wander around. I find it very hard to know when a painting is finished. I get so close to them. And sometimes I just leave them for months and then I come back to them. Like the recent painting, the large painting from Moss Stories. Actually, a lovely lady came out to see it today, who's considering buying it. So I actually want to hang it up for a while to enjoy it. This is quite interesting, isn't it? It's so different. And actually this is very pastel-y up here. It's very different. Almost not want to do too much. Ooh, look at that movement. There's lots of, actually with painting, a lot of the time you're looking around. A lot of time I spent thinking and looking. Like an easel is better because you can step back more. But recently, just in the summer, I started painting flat. Ideally, I'd have loads of tables where I work on the floor. But it's amazing. I mean, I was very reluctant to call myself an artist, to be honest. I didn't go to art college. It's kind of like, it was like a very private passion. And I only sold my first painting just before my 50th birthday. So it's all happening very fast, but I must say I'm going for it because I think life is short. I think, okay, maybe at my age I finally found what I want to do with my life. That I'm really enjoying. That movement over there is beautiful. And again, you can see the whole painting is moving this way. So even though I'm trying to make things happen this way, it's just all flowing down here. It's probably slightly tilted. Now I'm at that stage where I almost need to let it dry again. Ooh, this is going to be a hard one to move. Maybe I'll do a little bit more graphite work. What would that be like? This is a bit too... No, I love the kind of gritty quality of the graphite. It's kind of like charcoal, I suppose. It leaves us lovely marks. Yeah, but I must say I really did suffer from that imposter syndrome of feeling like, who do I think I am? And it's quite terrifying exhibiting your work for the first time. You get a lot of rejection. But the very first thing I submitted into is the Lavitt Gallery in Cork. They have this open call where anybody can become a member for a very small, reasonable enough amount of money and can submit a painting. And this kind of annual exhibition. So I did that, and I put in 3 paintings. And they accepted one of them, and there was a review in the Sunday Times, and they mentioned loads of paintings, but they mentioned my one, and it sold. And I remember I was so thrilled. Ooh, that's the sound of spillage. That's the sound of spillage. Now I should really have a little container to catch that, because that's a lovely, lovely pool of colour. I'm just enjoying that movement there and those colours. What was I saying? It's so strange, these one-sided conversations. Oh yeah, I was thrilled, but I went to the opening night and I remember being so excited and so happy and exhilarated, and then I got there and I realised I don't know anybody. Everybody seemed to know each other. It's like kind of going to a party. I didn't know any other artists, and they all sort of knew each other or seemed to know each other from college or from different exhibitions. And then, but having it gave me a huge boost of confidence. The painting selling. And I thought, wow, this art business is going to be easy. And after that, I had, I would say, about 9 months of rejection to every single open call. Those open calls are the art business version of, like an actor's audition, where you go for an audition and you get rejection. It's kind of like that, and you have to learn how to cope with that. But I hadn't. I suppose in our normal life we don't get rejection like that, apart from jobs you go for. But you don't get it's similar to their thing. Oh, that's nice. So I'm kind of messing here. Now these layers are going to dry because they're quite translucent. But there's a lot I'm liking about this now. But I can't do too much more because it's so wet. There's probably time to do one more thing, if I can move this off. Okay, I'm going to move the other piece out of the way. I'm just very mindful of where Doris is now too, so she doesn't Actually, I'm going to put, I have a bin here, I'm going to put this on top of the bin. Oh. And please send me what you do. I really would love to see what you create. And I really hope you're enjoying it. Actually, what I might do now is I might do a little sketch in a book, which I've been doing for kind of fun. It's something, I don't know where I saw it, but it's like an idea of a sketchbook. This is an old book that would be just of going to the recycling bin, I suppose. And there's something nice about not working on a blank page. It's a bit like, I suppose, when I work in layers. And it's like a sketch, I'm just playing. But I suppose I'm thinking, and I might be, it's like practicing for then a painting. What I'm liking, what's working. What's not working. But I think it's incredible if you gave a group of people the same paints, the same tools, we'd all create completely different paintings, because, you know, I think paintings come from inside you, from some part of ourselves. You know, I find when I paint, it's like you go into a zone, like meditation, but I find memories come into my head a lot. I don't know if any of you have experienced this. I don't find, maybe not with me babbling away, but if you are painting on your own, you might find that you'll remember things. Like I'll remember, you know, childhood memories or walks I went on, and so I think it just taps back into something. The black is nice. But anyway, I'm very grateful to have this chance to paint. And I'm enjoying sharing my process and what I've learned. I'm still experimenting, I'm still learning. I'm not a teacher by any means. But I really do believe we can all paint. And I think, you know, it can bring a lot of joy. And I was amazed the last time people said they found it very relaxing. Listening to me withering on. Anyway, it's just a few people on Instagram. My husband isn't on Instagram, so he has no idea what I'm doing. And my son's biggest fear is that I would join TikTok, because that would be really embarrassing, because his age group are no longer on Instagram. It's for old people now. Maybe a bit of this yellow. I think it needs a bit more of that magenta. It's like a tiny painting, isn't it? I find I might just use, usually I just use 4 colours when I'm painting. And it's incredible how many colours you can make with 4 colours. Anyway, but I'm going to get this link from Cork Art Supply hopefully tomorrow, and I'll put it up. I'll send it out to my mailing list as well if you're interested. And you know, you might like playing with these things, but actually the most important thing is paint, to have paint. So these little extra things are not as important, because you can do more with paint. with colour, water, and a surface. And here I'm just using an old book. Now what I don't like about this is it looks like two paintings, like a bottom and a top. So I'm just going to put a bit of blue down here. I like the way you can see all the words coming through. Maybe I'll use these in a collage or something. Who knows? Now that needs to dry. So I think I'm going to take you off the tripod there, and we can have a little chat. Take my gloves off first. Okay, hang on a second. Hopefully I can do this. Hello. So, a lot of you are still there. You didn't all leave. I hope that was fun. I'm just going to show you what I did here. It's really lovely. Thank you very much. Did you paint? Did some of you paint with me? I hope you did. And if you want to, you can send me a photograph of what you did. I'd love to see it. I'm just going to show you what I did here from this angle. So this is the last thing I did. This little is the paint you're dripping on acrylic or ink. It's acrylic. So I'm using, these are basically acrylic paint in jam jars diluted with water. I just give them a little stir before I use them, and then I seal them up with a lid, and they actually keep really well. These are all, I think I've had these for a few weeks now. I don't do too much, and I can always add more water. And then these are a different kind of, it's acrylic paint that's already diluted in a container. And actually, a friend of mine was saying she used syringes, which is a great idea actually for squirting on paint. I haven't used that, so that's quite similar to that. It kind of drops it on. But you could use inks, and then I use these inks a lot, and I use the graphite a lot. These are the graphite. I actually just use the blue one. These, so Cork Art Supplies, Cork Art Supplies are going to send me the link. I have these for years. They last for ages. I'm glad you gave it a go too. Thank you for doing that. So this is the other big canvas that's balancing on top of a bin. This is the first one. And now it's getting a bit, I must say, I like the lines. I like all the lines, but it's getting quite muddy there. You know, it might dry in a nice way. Thank you for breaking my block. I always use plastic. Well, I think everyone should use plastic knives. This is the other one down here. And did I do anything else? No, that was it. And the tools were, I basically used, it's kind of magenta. I used yellow. I used this magenta. I used, this is kind of like a teal blue in a jam jar, and I used this lighter green. And there's so little paint, and then the water just keeps it really well. And then I used the graphite stick, and I used some of these, and I used my water spray. So that's all I used. It wasn't that many things really to make all those marks. You're using them too. That's great. Let me turn this around so I can chat to you. So thank you very much. I actually found it less terrifying than the first time. Except for the chatting. My God, it's like going into a therapy session. I have no idea what I said half the time, but I'm glad so many of you stuck with me and painted, and I hope you had fun, and I hope you continue to paint. I think we can all paint. So thank you so much. You love the jam jar and spray technique. Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it? I just started doing it, and just don't forget to put the lids on the jam jar. Now, oftentimes I work with opaque thick paint, where I use things like the wallpaper spreader I showed you. And it's just really this summer that I started using very diluted paints and using jam jars to keep them in. And then, if they go a bit dry, just add a bit more water, a bit more paint. And then I find I tend to reuse the jam jars a lot because they become stained with the edges become stained. So I know that's the pink, and they actually almost mix a little bit, which is not how you're supposed to do it. But, this is like, it's a little bit mixed up. It's like a dark green. But I know that's the dark green one. And it just gets filled with more. So but I think 4 colors, water, a surface, you can do so much. So please send me what you did, and thank you so much for joining me. We'll do it again. But I'd love to see what you did, and I wish you all a happy Sunday and a great bank holiday Monday if you're in Ireland. Thanks so much. Bye.